Today we're going to learn about Samuel Insull and how he brought electrical power to homes around the world. Do you know where you would be without electricity? Probably not in a very good place. No lights, no electronics, no air conditioning or heat. You might say you'd move somewhere else. But how would you get there without roads or cars? And if you did somehow manage to get to your destination, you probably wouldn't have a very good time, because amusement parks don't run without electricity. So it's pretty safe to say that our modern lives are pretty dependent on getting electricity to people who need it. And one man was responsible for making sure that people got the energy they needed, Samuel Insull. In the late 1800s, Thomas Edison had invented the first practical incandescent light bulb, which gave off light when electricity flowed through it. But light bulbs aren't really all that useful unless you can control how and where they give off that light. And while Edison had also developed the first electrical grid system, it only covered a small area. Enter Samuel Insull, who had the idea of building a company that could take electricity from wherever it was generated and distribute it to people who needed it. The problem was, there were lots of competing companies generating electricity in different places. So the first thing he did was create an international holding company called the Edison Electric Light Company in 1889. This company owned smaller companies in different countries, which made it easier to share technology and ideas across borders. Then in 1891, he set up a holding company called the General Electric Company, which bought up all the competing companies in one area and combined them into one large utility company. He then repeated this process in other areas until he was supplying over 60% of the electricity in the United States. But why did he do this? We know he made a lot of money doing it, but there must have been more to it than that, or he would have just kept expanding. Well, after a while, the government started regulating utilities to ensure prices stayed low and profits didn't get too high. Plus, with the Great Depression and then World War II, the focus was less on making big profits and more on providing essential services at a reasonable price. And although he'd done it to make electricity more accessible, it turned out that having so much power in one company could be risky. One major storm could knock out power to millions of people. But what he really wanted was for everyone in the world to have access to electricity. That was his legacy. So let's see what else he accomplished. Born in 1861 in England, Insull was the son of an engineer and inventor. When he was 12, his family moved to the U.S. and settled in Cleveland, Ohio. There his father started a company that manufactured electrical components. Although Samuel had planned to study engineering in college, he soon realized he was more interested in business. So after a couple years, he left school to work full-time in his father's company. By the time he was 25, he was running the company and helping his father secure patents for inventions like the induction motor, which used alternating current to create a rotating magnetic field. A few years later, his father died, and Samuel took over the family business. It was around this time that he started thinking about how to make electricity more available to the general public. In addition to creating holding companies to buy up smaller ones, he also created subsidiaries to make sure that the electricity could be delivered reliably. For example, he created companies to manufacture equipment like transformers, which convert voltage to lower levels for distribution. Because electricity can be dangerous, he also created a subsidiary called the Safety Council, whose job it was to make sure the equipment was installed correctly. Even today, many utility companies have similar practices to make sure their product is both widely available and safe to use. After Samuel retired from the company in 1932, he spent his time writing books and giving talks about how electricity could improve the lives of people around the world. Unfortunately, he died in 1948 before he could see the creation of the European Union, which aimed to unite Europe through trade and peaceful cooperation, something he had long advocated for. But his vision did live on through his invention of the modern electrical grid system. Today, Electrical grids connect hundreds of power plants to millions of customers, deliver power to remote areas through high voltage lines, and even use computer systems to balance supply and demand in real time. Without Samuel Insull, our grids might not exist at all. So the next time you flip a switch, take a second to thank Samuel Insull for bringing light to the world. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about inventors like Samuel Insull, check out the series in the description. And thanks to all our patrons for supporting us.